Welcome everyone to the Ubuntu Snappy Core Clinic. I thought we would go through a few organizational things first. If you're watching this through ubuntuonair.com, you have the video feed, and directly below you have a chat widget. Just make sure you use your favorite nickname and hit the connect button. That way you can ask questions and give us feedback and stuff. That's going to make the whole thing much more interesting. When you ask questions, I just noticed that loads of people already joined. When you ask questions, please make sure you prefix them with question in capital letters. I will repeat that on IRC later on. That way it's going to be easier for us to pick up questions, and that way we can answer them. Also, if you're on Twitter or YouTube or Google Plus and elsewhere, make sure you friend and circle and follow the Ubuntu on Air account. That way you will be informed of new shows and old shows and everything, and you stay up to date. This is the second of our Ubuntu Snappy clinics. We basically want to have a regular event where we show what's new in the world of Snappy. We do demonstrations, we do presentations, we show what's happening, what's new. We're going to introduce you to all the people, and we want to have this as a conversation starter, basically. So when you're on IRC in the Snappy channel, you can ask us all the questions. Basically, all the engineers who are working on this, they're always there, and you can ask your questions there and get fixes and whatnot, get suggestions. That's what we want to do here. Today I'm joined by Sergio and Ted, and they've both been part of the Ubuntu world for many years. They've been working days and nights on Snapcraft recently, and before that there were their days and nights on other stuff in the Ubuntu world. It's good to have them here. Yeah, maybe we should start with a quick intro of what Snapcraft is, what it does. Does one of you want to talk a bit about that?
Sure, just give me a second. In the meantime, I'll give a quick intro of who I am. I'm Sergio. I'm working on Snapcraft these days, and previous to that, I was part of the Snappy team per se, and I also have a lot of phone experience because I've been working for the phone on phone stuff for the past 2.5, 3 years. With that, let's just start with a recap on what Snapcraft is. I'm sharing my screen here. I hope you can see this. It's just a small presentation to accompany what I want to say. And so today's conversation is going to be more about Snapcraft, not so much about Snappy itself. So what is Snapcraft, though? So Snapcraft is just an easy way to build packages for Snappy Ubuntu Core, and it just makes it easy to incorporate a lot of different sources and create a final snap. And there's two key concepts that basically allow you to do this. One is parts, and the other one is plugins. Parts are basically the description of the sources, and they use plugins to reach their objective. Plugins have a life cycle. They are basically pull, build, stage, and snap. During the pull phase, a part will define sources that it wants to retrieve, and it will basically set up those sources. And subsequently, you'll go to the build phase where the plugin will know how to build that source. Then we'll go to the stage phase where all the parts will have this common location, and they'll go to the stage where they can also share like libraries and stuff you want to use to build other parts, because parts can also be ordered with a special keyword. And then the snap phase, which is basically the final view of what so it's a tree as well, where you'll get the final view of what the snap will look like, and that is essentially where how your final snap will be when you craft it. So we recently released 0.3, and there's a couple of things that we've added there. One is that we've went back to the plugin keyword and not type. You'll get a proper deprecation message, so nothing should break backwards. We made it cleaner by also removing the dash project for all the plugin names. So like now you have Python 3 instead of Python 3 project, and so on and so forth. This is also clean. It won't just break. Plugins also have their own schema. So now if you add invalid keywords to your part, or are missing keywords in your part, or however the plugin is implemented, it will be captured, and you'll get this nice message saying that. And there's also improvements on how to manage local plugins using X plugin, and I'll go on and show how to do that in a bit. There's a new sconce plugin. It's an initial one there, so you can try and use stuff, build stuff using sconce. And then there's a small improvement where dangling symlinks, which is not really good in Snappy. It's a Snap package itself, because we basically don't rely on anything on the system. So just to make the developer experience a bit easier and smoother now, if it's on your system and not as provided by part of the part, we'll include it in your Snap for now, and then you can iterate and improve it. So that's the Snapcraft thing in a nutshell. I wanted to demo just really how to override a plugin and start from so I'm gonna create a Snapcraft project, not in an upstream form, but like out of tree, guide you through it, and we'll see that the plugin we want to use doesn't basically cover all the bits and pieces required to build that project, and see how to actually extend that locally, and for the future to provide like provide a merge proposal or whatever you want to do with it to upstream it. So that said, let's just make sure terminal.
Yeah, just briefly, I wanted to just encourage you all, if you have questions, or if you want us to go slower or explain anything, just interrupt us, just let us know.
Okay, so I basically have nothing here. I'm using Snapcraft 0.3. I'm just going to create I created that demo directory. I have nothing in there. I'm going to start by saying Snapcraft init. I'll get a very basic YAML that helps me get started. The project I want to start out with is BAM tools. I'm just going to put version 0 here. I'm going to leave the vendor like that. I'm going to say tools for handling BAM files. A description is that's a copy paste, and PNG there. There's a couple of things changing for icon. I'm going to get that back into the end of the clinic today. So if I have that Snapcraft YAML there, so if I run Snapcraft, it will execute the default command, which is to basically build the snap, and it'll say there's no icon. I'm going to do a little cheating here. Since we don't check the actual resolution of the icon or whatever, we just check the files guest. I'm just going to touch icon and then run Snapcraft, and it'll say, oh, there's no parts. Of course there are, because I didn't add any. I just declare parts there and give a part. I'll create a part, and the name is basically the key entry there, which is going to be BAM, and I'm going to say plugin CMake. So let's just run that Snapcraft, and there. Of course, I can't. This part BAM is missing a source, which is required by the CMake plugin. So let me go back in there and say, well. Back in there and say source, and I'm just going to do I want to use the Git sources, so I'm just going to do that right there. Notice I just use HTTPS without not the Git qualifier, and so I'm going to run Snapcraft, and it says, oh, I don't know what that is, but I do. source type. Just use git colon there, and it would have auto detected it, but we have this way to say, yeah, use git. So I'm going to say snapcraft, and it clones. At least that's a big project, so we're not going to have to wait too much. And there we go. So the CMake plugin is basically breaking because why? We don't have auto-source builds. So here's how to basically override a plugin. I'm going to create inside parts and create a plugins directory. I'm going to copy the plugin from the release. And inside, I'm going to copy that inside parts plugins, but I'm going to copy it as xcmake.py. So now if I run Snapcraft, there's one small thing here. You'll see that says loaded local plugin for CMake. That means now I can and I can add edits. I'll just go real quick over it. So basically what defines the schema, what you're supposed to add or not. It's just a JSON schema as a dictionary, if you're interested in that. In it, basically, it just appends a build package we need to make sure there's to make sure all the build packages are on the host. Pull is not implemented here because we inherit it from the base class, which is the make plugin we're inheriting from, and build just implements build. As you can see, it's an in-source build here. So I'm going to quickly do something that enables us to build this. So let's see. I'm going to import OS, and I'm going to import shutil. Inside, this is really quick and dirty, but I'm going to do sh rm self and I'm going to tell CMake to use the source steer to build. And I think that was it. So if I do snap, I will start building. And eventually this will build. Eventually, again, I will need to declare binaries and or services. In this case, it would just be binaries because it's a tool. I'm not going to do that here because I just wanted to demo how to override plugins and enhance them if you wanted to. You basically got a snapshot of where everything is. So this will finish building, and I don't know if we have an open for questions in the meantime, or if not, I will just until this finishes building so you can see that it builds, and or we can just pass on to Ted, who's also going to show something.
So there's no questions on IRC yet, but since we touched on the plugins a bit, can you maybe talk a bit about what kind of plugins we already have and how hard it is to write some? What does it involve? How does it all work?
Okay, so plugins basically, I mean, you have to inherit from this base plugin class that we have, and you implement three things: pull, build, and ems. There's one more, which I'm not going to get into. It's not really necessary for someone getting started. Pull, if you basically use sources like I just used, you don't need to, in 0.5, you won't need to implement at all. It will just happen for you. The build is just, so build will just, you just have to write what makes the sources build, like I I just showed there, and then you can override init and add build packages. So there are build packages and stage packages we've covered before. Build packages are something that drives the build, and stage packages are things you want inside your part. It can be development files too. So you make sure that the same development files and same libraries are all used in the same thing for the part. And that's all you need. There's nothing more to write a plugin. It's super easy. I've seen people do it, and they do it in just a couple of minutes. It's just a matter of, so creating a good plugin that covers all the cases is complicated, but getting started is not.
And that's all Python.
I am 0.5 is also going to add a couple more Snapcraft commands like list plugins, help for plugins, so you can, as a part author or someone writing Snapcraft YAMLs, you can get help on what the plugin expects and how it's going to work, and you can write a proper part. And for plugin authors, there's also going to be a bit more help on how to do that as well. So right now, our focus is documentation, doc strings for everything, and simplifying the code base so people can just go in and read it and get a good idea of what's going to happen when they create a plugin. And with that, you can see that the BEM tools snap has been generated. It has no binaries, so it makes no use to install this, as it will be useless. But we can enhance it if questions arise about how to do that. Closer to the end, we can get back to this and go on with it. So I'm going to stop my screen share now and pass on the baton.
Cool. So thanks, Sergio. I wanted to. So my part of the task was to do a little bit more complex of Snap, and I was really going to do CMake as well. So we'd make this a whole CMake session, but the CMake build for the project I chose was kind of experimental, so it didn't work out. The project I was looking at to make a snap for is called Ginac. And for those who aren't familiar with it, I guess I can post here's the website. And it's a computer algebra library, which is kind of fun. But they also have a little small shell script, a shell, not script, but a shell itself in there that you can do different computer algebra operations. So if you want to, solve a polynomial or something like that, you can use their little tool to do that, which is, generally useful. I wanted to come up with something that was kind of useful. So we're going to start doing the make a Ginac demo, and I've got a screen right here. I am screen sharing, it says. Cool. So I've got Ginac test. So what I've done is I've created a small icon, super exciting, and a Snapcraft file to get started. So basically the same stuff that you just saw in Sergio's example: name, vendors, dummy summary. Icons, and then I've made a part for the Ginac part. And so it's AutoTools based, and there's their Git repository. So what we can do now is we can just start to build this. And unfortunately, I had to fix a bug in our AutoTools stuff when I started doing it. So I'm using that branch right now, but that should land to be in the next release version. So it starts building Ginac, and we do auto reconf, and we're going to find out here in a second that we don't have all our dependencies, because we don't have all the dependencies in a Snappy core system. It's a pretty small system starting out, and so the Snap itself needs to have its various dependencies included inside the Snap. It looks like the first error we get is for CLN, which is a class library for numbers. And so now we need to start just adding some dependencies to our Snap so that we have everything pulled in. One of the ways we can do that, and the easiest way to get started, is to start pulling them from the Ubuntu repositories. Nope, not that easy. And we can pull from the Ubuntu repositories using a couple of directives we have. One of those is build and build packages, and the other is stage packages. So I've gone ahead and I've already figured out what the dependencies are that we need. And I put those in. So we've got some build packages here: Bison, Flex, and text info. And then we've got stage packages, which are packages that bring on the system. And these are libraries that we need to install in the system. So the build packages are just the tools we need to build. The stage packages are the ones we expect to start showing up inside the package in the snap when we start to get there. So there's my CLN, my GMP, and readline. So now that I've got those, we'll need to repull, force a pull, pull force. Oh, I need to install TechInfo on my local system, so it prompts that because that's one of the build tools I specified. And so it says, hey, we're going to install this on your local system. Here's the command we're running. We'll need sudo to do that, and it will install that locally. So now that it's grabbing staged and build packages, it's grabbing a copy of the Ubuntu archive for Vivid, the releases, and grabbing the actual packages that are needed. And we're grabbing those packages and installing them into the snap. So you'll see that I pull in quite a few things because actually the class library for numbers and GMP both pull in a fair number of packages because they have library dependencies. So let me grab some questions while this is downloading. So the first question was from Raleigh about plugins shipped with Snapcraft. We ship a variety of plugins with Snapcraft, but CMake, AutoTools, we're going to the next release ship Catkin. There's there's a whole list. But the thing is that we don't expect that every plugin will do everything that you need, and so we provide, as Sergio explained, the ability to customize the plugins. We hope to get a good set of plugins that is the base set that most people use, and then provide the feature that people can customize to do whatever they need. Ogra, question, why do you need dev packages for runtime deps? That's a great question, and we were discussing it. If you scroll back in the Snappy channel about an hour or two, we were just discussing that. The problem is that the dev packages install on the local system, the build packages, and not inside the snap, so it wouldn't pull the libraries in right now. It doesn't work from a Debian packaging perspective, and so I think we need to do some slight fixes there, but that's a good way for a demo to get started. Hopefully we'll clean that up a bit as we start to move on. I don't have in this example doing filtering in the package. We also support some filtering as you make the snap, and so you can remove different files if you need to. Cool. And here we are back on our terminal, and it's pulled. So let's try our build again. Nope. And building make. Did it make the configure? Here. Well, let's just show Snapcraft thing, and we'll clean it, and we'll do it again. So I cleaned it, and that gets rid of all the directories. And that'll actually have to repull, though. Okay. Oh, good, another question. So the define architecture. So with Snapcraft, it always built to a local architecture. Well, you provide allowing architecture to be set in there because you can potentially have a package that supports multiple architectures. So we'll always add our AMD 64 in if you're building on an AMD 64 machine. If you want to build an ARM package, you need to do that on an ARM machine. You can do that with a Raspberry Pi or something of that nature, or you can use it on a cloud with something like Scaleway, or you can use QEMU with ARM emulation, which is relatively slow but will work. I don't know why it does that. Okay. So configure. We should have all our dependencies now. Boom. Okay. So now we're building up the actual Snapcraft snap, which will take a little while because it's C++. But what I want to do is I want to just flip over and add a new tab and talk one thing before while it's building. Snapcraft. Yeah. So going to happen is, so we built up the GINIAC as Sergio was talking about in his demo, is that we built it and we put it all in a snap, but it's not actually useful to anyone as just a snap, because the other thing that snaps need to do is kind of define how they fit into the overall system. And the two ways we have to fit a snap into the overall system right now is by adding binaries, which are command line executables, and by adding services, which are things that are run at startup by the init daemon. So those are the two integration points we have for integrating a snap into the overall system today. So in this case, we talked about I wanted to build GINAC, so we had the small shell to with it to be able to do computer algebra when I need it. And so we're going to go ahead and expose that binary into the snap. And I used the wrong cut and paste command. And there we go. So what I'm doing here is I'm defining a binary, which is the GINAC shell, and I'm saying giving it a name, which is just its name, gin sh, and then I'm execing bin gin sh because that's where it installs. And so here we go, and so that will build. I've got this entire Snapcraft file now that I've shown you, so I don't release my secrets, in this paste bin. So if you want to play with this one yourself, you should be able to install it. You'll need the Snapcraft branch that I mentioned earlier for this demo, but that will merge into trunk here soon. I've got a PEP 8 issue that I'm fixing before it will pass the automated tests. And I've got a question from Kevin. Well, stage back is when you pull, you only need to call out first level dependencies. It'll grab sub-depth. Yes. So the question is whether when you put the stage packages, do you put your highest level dependencies or the lowest level dependencies? And we solve the dependencies using apt. So as if you put a, let's say, CLN here, it needs a couple of C++ libraries that also get pulled in. So it'll pull in all the dependencies to those. But it will not pull in recommends. So it behaves a little bit differently than your standard Ubuntu install, and that if you do it on a standard Ubuntu desktop install, you'll grab recommends as well. Here we're only grabbing dependencies. So that might be a slight difference you notice. You can set, I don't remember if we kept the flag. We had a flag for pulling in recommends as well, but I don't know if that's still there. I'll have to look for it. So Laura McKell asked a question about to build snaps for your RPi2, you have to develop them on RPi2. To build a ARM snap, you need to build it on ARM. That doesn't necessarily mean RPi2. You could build it on your phone, for instance, your Ubuntu phone, if you so chose. It just needs to be built on an ARM device, so we don't have a way to cross-build easily for ARM. Cool, and that's what I want to show. I think this will build out, but it's going to take a little while.
So I guess many people ask why we don't support cross-building, and one of the reasons is basically because Ubuntu Core is an anything system, and we don't have like a controlled sysroot, or we don't. The sysroot we might have, like in C++, in the C++ scenario, might not have everything you need at all, and there's no controlled set of anything. There's nothing we control that can make the experience fun and easy. I guess people can start exploring that if they want. There are architectures that solve this cleanly, like Go, for example, but it's not a catch-all situation where we can just say, yeah, we cross-build, and it will cross-build. So that's why it's not there yet. It still needs more thinking. That's the shorter explanation of everything regarding cross-builds.
Okay, cool. Yeah, keep your questions coming. In the meantime, I'm going to try an example myself. I have to use the FaceTime I have with the two Snapcraft developers, so they can correct me if I do things wrong. Share my screen. All right, so I've found this small tool called bdate. I'm going to use that as an example. So earlier I learned about Snapcraft init, so I'm going to use that. And I'll push an icon in there. And now work on Snapcraft YAML. Okay. Date. Alright. Summary, I'll just copy and paste from the website. Okay, and set the icon. Oops. Okay, now we'll define the parts. And for me, it's just going to be one part, date, and the source is going to be this. And it's a CMake project as well. So if I run Snapcraft now, let's see how it fares. It creates a snap, so far so good. So the build worked. We can use, I'm not sure if that's always in the future going to be the case, but now we can use dpackage to quickly inspect the snap and see what's in there. And we can see that everything that was generated through the build, so we have a binary in /bin, we have the man page, and a few meter files, so everything is in there. Just one thing we should probably do is define the binaries. We had that in an example before, so I'll do that real quick. And that was just bin date. What this is going to do, it's going to create a wrapper for us, which is going to make it easier to execute the date executable. Right, run Snapcraft again, and let's see what's different now. You can see it already contains the date wrapper. Now Snapcraft has one really nice bit of functionality, which is Snapcraft Run. And what it does is it downloads Ubuntu Snappy Core, a VM, fires it up in QEMU, and then copies the snap over and installs it. In this case, it's downloading a few things, so that takes a bit. But if you have longer builds and you need to fine tune it, this is really convenient to just try it out, install it, and see if everything works. I'll just have a quick look at IRC to see if there's more questions while this boots up. Okay, somebody commented that that my VI was in German. I'm not going to give German lessons today. All right, so this is the first start of the VM that always takes a little bit longer. And if we run snappy list, it's going to list all the installed snaps. So if we now run date, it also supports the tab completion. It gives us the crazy current date, and it works with a bunch of other options as well. So this was a really simple example, but I really wanted to show how Snapcraft run works and how you define your binaries. All right. Yeah. Sorry about that. What just happened was that instead of ending my screen share, I ended the broadcast, and we didn't find a way to reconnect or restart the broadcast. Yeah, what I'm going to do after this hangout is that I'm going to write a blog post or write a mailing list post and just link to the two parts of the hangout so people can just watch the two parts after each other. Did you see any questions from IRC in the meantime? Cool.
There was a question, yes. Let me look it up again. If you do snap run on the RPi2, it tries to also run it on an emulator. So the question is if you do Snapcraft, not Snappy run, will it run on the RPi2? And the answer is it's two-folded basically. The quick answer is no, it won't run. This relies on KVM and installing so you first need to install Snapcraft on Snappy itself, which you can't because it's not a Snap package in itself. It relies on Ubuntu packages to build. And the other thing that might interest you is there is work going on to provide an Ubuntu Classic mode to run on Snappy itself, so you can use Snapcraft from there, and the Snapcraft run command is going away actually, and you're going to have a Snappy try. Snappy try will pick the right target, and if you're in Classic mode inside a Snappy Ubuntu Core environment, it will use that environment to basically try and play with it. If you're on x86 host and on regular Ubuntu and you run try, it will go into a Snappy mode and install there. So there's a bit of variations that are coming. Those aren't there yet, but Snapcraft Run is going away in favor of this new solution.
Cool. Is there anything else people need to do? Let's say you're regular Ubuntu user, if you want to start using Snapcraft, what do people need to do?
People want to use Snapcraft. Let me just answer Ogre's question on IRC, saying
Sure.
So it's not a question, it's a clarification that you can create a chroot on inside Snappy Ubuntu Core and install Snapcraft there. So what happens with run? I guess it will fail. It won't fail gracefully. If you can get KVM and all that stuff to work on ARM, then it can work. And if patch is welcome for that, I guess.
Cool.
And to get started with Snapcraft, going back to your original question, it's all on the developer page, initial developer page. Daniel, hope you don't mind searching for that really quick for me while I answer. But there's support for Trusty Vivid and Wiley. Those three series are supported right now. There's a PPA on the Snappy Devel owned by the Snappy Devel team. It's called Tools. If you want to play with the latest and greatest, it's tools-proposed. And that's all you need. Just sudo apt-get install Snapcraft. And if you want the examples in a Debian package, you can do sudo apt-get install Snapcraft-examples, and you'll get the examples as well. It should be in user share doc Snapcraft examples. Those are where the examples are. If you want to look at the plugins on an install systems, those are in the Python 3 library location on Ubuntu, which is user/lib/python Python 3/this-packages/snapcraft/plugins. That's where all the plugins are. You can just ls them. Their names are basically implying the plugin name. So they are the plugin name, so except with .py. So that should cover most of your plugin searches. That's all you need to get started. There's also, if you want to dig in a bit more, there's a wiki where we publish parts. We intend to populate it more these coming days, but those parts are basically stuff you can use to get started with your Snapgraph YAMLs themselves.
There's also a set of examples in the source tree.
Right, those are the same ones that you get by doing apt-get install snapgraph-examples.
Cool. So I just brought up the screen share just to show that the shell actually worked for people who wanted to see what happened. But that's Ginch, and you can solve things, and it comes up with symbolic names, and it's fun.
Brilliant. Yeah, as you can see, it's usually just a few commands or a few iterations over getting your software snapped. If there's a plugin for it, if not, you can write it a plugin and contribute it. But usually it's setting up the metadata, then maybe defining some build packages. So if dependencies need to, or build packages need to be installed, you define binaries. In a lot of cases, that's it. Or you define multiple parts and define which one is built after another, and that's usually it. So we would welcome your feedback. If you try to Snappify your software and it doesn't quite work, or you need to get some more background, you can always ask us on #snappy on Freenode, and also on snappy-app-devel on lists.ubuntu.com. Basically all hang out there. Just looking over IRC again. So far, no more questions.
So I'm going to push some final words then. 0.4 is coming soon. That is going to include a lot of documentation to make it easier. It's going to include a list of easy command line ways to see all the plugins you have. We're going to improve the CLI a bit more. And with regards to plugins, there's a CatKit plugin planning. Ted has put some work into that. There's an AWS plugin as well that integrates with all the recent AWS announcements that have been going on with regards to IoT. And I think that the next Snappy Clinic, at least the one that involves Snapcraft, is going to basically talk about the CatKit plugin. So if you're interested in ROS, the robot operating system, and doing that, I suggest you get ready for that one. And we're going to view how to do some nice ROS-based snaps.
Cool. Yeah, another event coming up in about 2 to 3 weeks is Ubuntu Online Summit. That's basically where the whole Ubuntu community does all their planning, where we also have show and tell sessions and so on. It's also a good opportunity to get to know all the folks who are working on stuff in Ubuntu, no matter if they're, I don't know, from the desktop team or working on the phone or working on Snappy. All of them are going to do their planning there. And if you want to find out more about that, it's going to be November 3rd to 5th, and it's all on summit.ubuntu.com. You can find we're still putting the schedule together, so that's going to come in the next few days. But you can also sign up for the event there. And I think that's it. Do we have any more questions we wanted to answer?
Nope, just thanks everyone.
Cool. All right, we're going to hang out on IRC still, so just catch us there. We're going to answer questions there as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, folks.
Next time. Bye.